Hi, I'm Emma. If I asked you, what is the most important lesson you've learned in life? What would you say? Pause for a moment and think. What truly moves you forward in life? What makes you stronger? What helps you stay on your feet? There was a wise man, a scholar, who lived into his 70s and passed away. A long life, full of experience, mistakes, and lessons. In the final days of his life, when he was asked this question, he answered, "You must learn to be happy with everything. Sometimes, even being able to drink a glass of water in peace is happiness." At first, this sounds simple, but it carries a very deep meaning, because most people attach conditions to happiness. I'll be happy when I have money. I'll be happy when my job improves. I'll be happy when people love me. But this wise man said, you must learn to be happy without conditions. You must learn to enjoy everything you do, to appreciate every moment. Not only the big moments, but also the small ones. The first principle: no matter your situation, learn to be content, to find joy where you are. See the good in everything, and believe that more good is ahead of you. This is training your mind, focusing not on the dark side of life, but on the bright side. The second principle: never lose your sense of humor. This is something most people lose very early. Keep your sense of humor at every age, especially the one you had as a child. Why are children happy? Because they don't take life too seriously. They fall, they get up, and they laugh. But as we grow older, we make everything heavy. When you feel like having fun, allow yourself. Entertain yourself, even a little. This is not weakness. This is strength. Even if you can't change your environment, you can change the energy within it. Add some smart, kind humor. Laugh at yourself and your situation, not at others. This is a sign of intelligence, because being able to laugh even in difficult moments means you are not letting those moments control you. Let there always be a sense of lightness inside you. The outside world may stay the same, but your inner world can be different. See the world as a game. This is a very important perspective. In games, people lose and try again, but in life, many people give up after losing once. Albert Einstein had a formula for success. See life as a game and enjoy it. Work more and work efficiently. Control your speech. Don't brag about your success. Stay humble. And the result is game plus hard work plus self-control equals success. Understand that everything is temporary. No pain lasts forever, and no happiness is permanent. Don't hurt yourself too deeply, because the greatest harm a person can do is to themselves. Work hard, but at the same time, keep your joy, your humor, and your ability to enjoy the moment. The person who can balance this is truly strong. The third principle: strive for financial freedom. Why? Because yes, some people can live in poverty, but you should aim to earn more and give more. Not just for yourself, but for your children, your family, your loved ones, and even for people in need whom you don't know. This is not just about making money. This is about taking responsibility. Of course, without going to extremes, because excess destroys everything. Life is about balance. Not only work, or you will miss life. Not only fun, or you will destroy your future. Never lose your humor. Be a light, positive, and uplifting person, because humans are social beings. It's hard to be happy alone. Even while having fun, you can grow. You can talk about meaningful things and still laugh. Try to be someone who softens the atmosphere, because people who change the atmosphere change lives. And again, strive for financial freedom, because life is unpredictable. There can be crises, disasters, unexpected problems. You need a safety cushion, some savings. Even a few $1,000s can give you peace of mind. It reduces fear. Financial freedom means that sometimes you can stop working for a while. Take a month or two off, think, find better ideas, and improve your path. Because sometimes stopping is the fastest way forward. Financial freedom also means something simple. When you go to a store, you don't feel anxious thinking, "Can I afford this?" You feel calm. And that is true freedom. Peace of mind. Every person deserves this, and everyone should strive for it. Let me give you an example. There is something you need to remember if you want to be grateful for every moment, feel content, and truly enjoy life: your health. In reality, most people only realize its value after they lose it. But what truly matters is recognizing its value before it's gone. There's a saying, if you have many problems and suddenly your health fails, all your problems disappear. You are left with only one problem: your health. When your health is gone, everything else becomes small. Things that once felt important no longer matter. The most important thing is your health. This is a very clear truth. In life, almost everything has an alternative, but health does not. That's why you must take care of your health in advance. You must prioritize it and understand that health comes first. This is not a choice, it is a necessity. And because you are healthy, because your health is in good condition, you should feel grateful. Remind yourself of it often, especially when your mood is low, because this is something extremely valuable. Sometimes people forget what they have and focus only on what they don't have. But when you remember your health, you realize how rich you truly are. Now let me tell you something else. For a person to have a healthy psychology, meaning a strong mindset, good emotional state, and stable mood, their daily routine should be somewhat diverse and colorful. This is a very critical point. When life has variety, your psychological state improves. Your thinking becomes clearer, and your focus becomes stronger. Monotony slowly breaks a person down, but variety keeps a person alive and energized. For example, if someone reads books from morning to night, they may become overly dreamy, like Don Quixote. Even something good like reading, if done excessively, can disconnect you from reality. And if a person watches movies or series all day, they begin to lose themselves in that world. Their thoughts become scattered because they start carrying the emotions of what they watch. The same goes for listening to music all day. It can distract your mind. Your thoughts become unfocused. Your emotions get mixed. Each piece of music creates a different feeling, and too many mixed emotions can confuse your inner state. Also, doing the same thing all day can make it harder to think clearly and make good decisions, because too much repetition tires the brain and creates mental overload. That's why your day should be varied. You should make it colorful. This is how you create mental balance. You should try to fill your day with different activities, because you need a strong mind. You need clear thinking. You have goals. You have a purpose. And to reach them, you need a strong and stable mental state. So, what does a colorful day mean? Let me explain. It means this. You wake up in the morning, wash your face, brush your teeth, your usual routine. These prepare you for the day. Then do a little bit of exercise. This is very important. It can be anything: walking, running, training your arms or legs. Even 10 to 15 minutes is enough, because what matters is not duration, but consistency. Then take a shower. This refreshes you both physically and mentally. Read for 15 minutes, even a few pages. Even one page is enough. You can read different books each day, because the goal is to build the habit. If you watch movies, limit yourself to 1 or 2 per day. The same with series. Don't overdo it, because too much will affect your thinking. Here's another element of variety. You can work on your diction. This is especially important. For example, you can read out loud and practice adjusting your tone. There are exercises to make your voice clearer and stronger. For example, you can put a small object, like a walnut, in your mouth while speaking. It's difficult, but very effective. Or breathing exercises, slowly exhaling while stretching your voice. There are many such exercises. You can find them anywhere. Working on your speech, doing some exercise, reading a little, and watching a bit of motivational content, all of this is beneficial. Watch 5 to 20 minutes of useful content daily. Something that teaches you, guides you, helps you find your path. But again, balance is important. Watching 10 videos in one day is not effective. Watching one video daily is much better, because knowledge is useful not when it is excessive, but when it is absorbed. Don't forget to follow this channel. I will try to post a video every day. If plans don't change, I'll continue daily. Watch 1 video per day, not 10 videos in one day. that only confuses your mind. One is enough, because when your mind is stable, it works more effectively. You may not notice the benefits immediately. That's normal. But after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or a year, you will clearly see the difference. Your thinking will become clearer. Your decisions will become stronger. Your confidence will grow. Some results don't come instantly. They develop over time. And one day, you will realize your mind works clearly, focuses deeply, and produces better decisions. And at that point, you will understand this. Small habits create big lives. If you want, I'm thinking of starting a challenge. I would like to start a challenge, but this isn't just a challenge. It could also be a starting point that changes your life. For example, if any of you clearly and honestly write about your current situation, your circumstances, as clearly and as accurately as possible, because most people don't really know where they stand in life. But the moment you write it down, awareness begins. And from each person's perspective based on their life, meaning wherever they are in their life, I will give advice on what they need to do to succeed in that situation, to develop themselves, to achieve financial freedom, to be happy and content, to truly become a happy person. And this won't just be general advice, it will be directly tailored to your life. With the knowledge and life experience I've gained, and by trying to solve problems, draw a path, and create a strategy, I want to make a separate video for each of you based on your current situation, showing what you can do next. So every comment could become a video. For example, someone could write about their current life situation, how much debt they have, how much income they earn, how much they spend. These are very important because you can't make a correct plan without knowing the truth. And what jobs can they do? What are their talents? What can't they do? Where do they fail? What can they succeed at? Because no one can do everything, but everyone can do something very well. Also, what is the environment like in your friend group? This is critical too. For example, is there someone among your friends who has achieved something successful? Or are they mostly negative people who complain all the time? What about your relatives? Are there aggressive people, critics, or people who have achieved something in their lives? Because a person is influenced by their environment, inevitably. Also, which city do they live in, or which village? What opportunities exist there? What can they take advantage of? Because opportunities exist everywhere, but not everyone can see them. I can give some advice, but this advice won't be superficial. The more clearly you summarize your situation, the more clearly I can give ideas. The more insight I have, the better I can explain and create a video for you. So the more honest you are, the more I can help. If you write, I would be happy. I will answer later. I will make a video on this topic. Every person. There is something called destiny. I believe in destiny. This is another dimension of life. Even very rarely, some people may have harmed others, received a curse, hurt someone, or done something wrong. Even if not directly, their father, grandfather, or ancestors may have done something wrong in the past that somehow makes life a little harder for someone today. For example, in this world, we can't completely deny this. A person might do everything, work hard, be smart, try to get out of a difficult situation, push themselves, strive to succeed, but still not reach success. It can happen, but the important thing here is, no matter the odds, never give up. But to find the right path and follow it, you must make an effort, because the result may not always be in our hands, but effort always is. Even so, staying in one place or giving up is worse than moving forward. This is very important, because when a person moves, a path opens up. But if they stop, life stops too. A person can correct a past mistake, for example, by earning income and helping someone in a difficult situation, or making donations to funds for people in need, and in this way set some things right. Doing good is not only for others, but also for yourself. By doing better, positive things, you can also improve your own life and happiness. Because a person grows by giving. There is always a possibility. First, you must be happy, have inner peace, and then if you keep moving, somehow a path will appear, God willing. When I say God willing, yes, God willing. But this God willing is not just an empty hope. It is a God willing that comes through working, striving, and moving forward. If you want to join this challenge, write your situation in the comments. Don't hold anything back. The more real you are, the more real a path we can find. And maybe your story could even change someone else's life. Let's start with someone who is in a difficult situation, because the most real stories are the ones that come from the hardest struggles. I'll give an example. And as a thank you for following me and watching me, I will give you 3 business ideas. But these are not ordinary ideas. Watch this video until the end, because I will share the most critical point at the very end. I will give 3 of the best, almost inevitable ideas. Ideas where, if you do them correctly, failure is nearly impossible. If you are lacking, if you are in a difficult situation, even struggling to find food, wondering, what will I eat today? Or what will we eat? First, you need to understand this. There are periods in life where survival, not choice, is the priority. First, you must find a way to increase your income, save money, and accumulate resources, using your physical strength and time wisely. Because for someone starting with no capital, their first assets are their body and time. If you are in a very poor country, you should try to reach a country where income is higher. Europe, America, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, or rich countries like the UK, and try to save money for a year or 2 there. This may be difficult, but it's not impossible. By somehow saving money, you must reach a level of freedom, because money is not just money. Money gives you freedom to think. For example, having a financial cushion allows you to spend 2 or 3 months just thinking, generating ideas, or testing a concept without going into debt or being in a dangerous situation. This is called a financial cushion. You need to reach this situation first. Once you have it, then you can try out the path you want, experiment with ideas, and proceed safely. Now, I will tell you 3 methods to do this. First, social media accounts. The first is social media, creating content on YouTube, Instagram, or other platforms. This is one of the strongest opportunities of our era. First and foremost, YouTube comes to mind. YouTube's income and impact are enormous. A single video can reach millions, and it works even while you sleep. Whatever the content, if you consistently create something every day, a video, a post, some content, for 2 or 3 months, you will start to see results. At first, it will be difficult. No one will watch initially, but if you continue, you will reach a breakthrough point. This is the first idea. You can learn everything about it from YouTube. Second, entrepreneurship and idea creation. The second idea, entrepreneurship. Every country has projects, small businesses, and opportunities. There are even TV programs that invest in good business ideas. You can invent a small solution for an everyday problem, develop it, produce it on a larger scale, and attract investment from anywhere. Sometimes, big successes start with solving small problems. With investment, this can later grow into a big company. It requires more planned action, but the growth rate can be extremely fast. Within a few months, it could become a $1 million company. The key here, it's not the idea itself, but the execution. Third, pursue what you love. Third, whatever you want to do, whichever path you choose, follow what you love. For example, art. With the resources you have, you can start small. You don't need perfect conditions to begin. A famous comedian and filmmaker once said, "If you want to make a film, start with what you have." This is a powerful statement. Start from one small point. Over time, your skills and resources will grow. The content you create will improve over time. After a few months or years, you can reach the place you want. For example, once you gain some financial freedom, you can buy a phone to shoot videos. Even with 1 or 2 friends, or alone, you can make a film. By consistently working and improving, you can become a skilled filmmaker, actor, director, or screenwriter. Or if your passion is music or painting, you can develop it through practice and dedication. Every field has a path and methods. For example, AI. By working alongside someone experienced, even for free, you can learn a lot in 2 to 3 months. This is an undervalued method. I can be your mentor, your helper. You don't need to pay me. Just being around and learning from someone for a few months can save you years. It can be robotics or any other field. Whatever you want. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Your support will help this channel grow. See you in the next videos. I love you all. Don't forget to support me too. See you soon! Hi, I'm Emma. A person comes into this world like a drop of rain. One drop falls onto a flower, into purity, comfort, a favorable environment. Another drop falls into the mud, into harsh conditions, struggle, survival. And the question is not where you wanted to land, the question is where you have already landed. At what level did you start your life? Are you on the roof? In the middle? Or are you deep in the negative right now? Answer yourself honestly. Not for someone else, not for society, but for yourself. In today's world, you keep hearing the same message over and over again. You hear it on social media, in interviews, in motivational videos, from trainers, coaches, and even ordinary people. Becoming successful is easy. If it's not working, it means you're not trying hard enough. Just believe in yourself and everything will work out. Sounds nice, right? Sounds inspiring. But let's be honest, that's far from the full truth. Because real life is more complicated, much more complicated. Right now, there is massive pressure on people. From all sides, you're told, find what you love, do what you're passionate about. You must love your job. And if you haven't done that, it makes you feel like something is wrong with you. Like you're behind, like you're living your life the wrong way. But no one says one very important thing. Not everyone is at a level where they can choose what to love. Imagine a simple game. In this game, everyone starts at a different level. One person starts at plus 100. They have connections, money, support, education, a stable environment. Another starts at level 0. They just have to build their life from scratch. And a third starts at minus 50. Or even minus 100. They have no money, no stability, family problems. They're just trying to survive. Now, tell me honestly, do these people have the same conditions? Can you really tell all of them the same thing? Just find what you love. A person who is thinking about what they will eat tonight is not thinking about purpose. A person who is worried about feeding their family is not thinking about a dream job. A person who doesn't know where they will live tomorrow is not thinking about self-actualization. They live in a different reality. They are playing a different game. And this is where the most important part begins. Many people who have already achieved success often forget where they started, or simply don't understand those who are below them. They say, if I did it, you can too. But they ignore one simple fact. They didn't start from the same level. Some people grew up in stable families. Some received a good education. Some had financial support. Some had strong backing. And some had nothing. Now, let's be honest. Going from negative to 0 is already a huge victory. But no one talks about that. Everyone talks about the top, about success, about millions, about freedom. But no one shows the real path. Dirty, difficult, long, and exhausting. There are people who need 10, 20, sometimes even 30 years just to reach a normal level of life, just to cover basic needs, stabilize their life, stop surviving. And only then do they get the chance to ask, what do I actually want? And at that point, at 30, at 35, at 40, they are only just beginning to search for their path. And that's normal, but society makes them feel like failures. You still haven't found yourself? You don't love your job? You're not successful? And a person starts thinking, something is wrong with me. But the truth is different. There is nothing wrong with you. You're just at a different stage. Now, let's talk about something else important. Why don't most people become successful? Why do people say that 90% never achieve what they want? The answer is not as simple as it seems. It's not because they are lazy. It's not because they are weak. It's because the path is hard. Very hard. It's years of uncertainty, constant mistakes, fear, lack of guarantees, pressure, exhaustion, and most importantly, a long road with no visible results. And at some point, a person just says, "I'm tired," and they choose stability. They choose routine. They choose a calm life without risk. And that's normal too, because not everyone is ready to go through that level of pain. But here's what matters. If you're not where you want to be right now, it doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're worse than others. It means only one thing. You are still in the process. Everyone has their own pace. Everyone has their own path. Everyone has their own starting point. Some succeed at 20, some at 30, some at 40, and some even later. And you know what matters most? Not where you are right now, but whether you are moving at all. Even a small step forward is already a victory. Even going from negative to zero is already a huge achievement. So stop comparing yourself to others. You don't know their starting point. You don't know their journey. You don't know their resources. Compare yourself only to who you were yesterday. And remember, success is not a quick leap. It's a long journey, sometimes very long, sometimes very hard. But if you keep moving, it means you are no longer standing still. And maybe the most honest thing to say is this. Yes, success is possible, but it's not easy, not fast, and not the same for everyone. And if you understand this, you already have an advantage over many. This video is not for everyone. Seriously. If everything is going well for you, if your life is stable, if you've already found your path, if you have a safety cushion, this video might feel too harsh. But if you are at the bottom right now, if you feel like life is pressing down on you, if you're trying to get out but nothing is working, this video is for you. Let's imagine one simple but very honest model of life. Picture a huge building, 30 floors up and 30 floors down. The roof is the highest level of success, your peak, your goal, your best version of life. And in between, floors. Each floor is a level of your life. And here's the truth people don't like to talk about. We don't all start on the same floor. Some people are born already on the 20th floor. They have money, they have connections, they have support, they have stability. They only need to climb 10 more floors. And some are born on -20. No money, no stability, no security. Sometimes not even a proper childhood. And to reach that same roof, they have to go through 50 floors. Do you see the difference? One person is climbing upstairs. Another first has to get out of the basement. And here's the harshest part. Some people start even lower, -30, -40, deeper than you can imagine. And these people are told, just find your passion. Just do what you love. Just work harder. Seriously? What passion when a person is thinking about what they will eat tomorrow? What dream job when someone can't meet basic needs? What success when a person is just trying to survive? That's not motivation. That's disconnection from reality. And here's another thing very few people understand. You don't choose where you're born. You don't choose your starting point. Every person is like a drop of rain. One drop falls on a clean rooftop. Another falls into the mud. A third falls into a deep pit. And that's not their choice. But after that, the journey begins. And I want to say this to those who are in the negative, those who haven't even reached zero yet, those who fight every day just to have a normal life. You are not weak. You are not lazy. You are not failures, like some try to make you believe. You just started from the bottom. And maybe you have to go through 2 to 3 times more than others. And you know what's interesting? If you make it out, if you climb even to zero, you will become stronger than most people because you've seen life without filters. You know what lack feels like. You know what pressure is. You know what real stress is. And for you, many problems that break other people will feel like small things. Now I'll say something personal. So you understand, I'm not saying this for no reason. I wasn't born on the upper floors either. In my family, the question wasn't, what will you become? It was, what are we going to eat? I started working at 6 to 7 years old, from morning till evening, from 8 a.m. to 6 to 7 p.m. as a child. Do you understand what that means? It means you don't have a normal childhood. It means you don't get to choose. It means no one asks you. You just go to work because there is no other option. And that's how life goes. Step by step, day by day, year by year. You're not searching for purpose. You're trying to survive. And now, I'm almost 30 years old. And only now, I'm starting to rise above zero. Only now can I afford to stop for 2 to 3 months, think, reevaluate, try something new. And you know what? This is the real zero level. When you cannot work for some time and not fall apart. When you don't accumulate debt from 1 month of pause. When you don't fall even deeper. Most people can't do that. And let's be honest, 70 to 90% of people live below this level. They can't stop. They can't rest. They can't change direction. Because one mistake, 1 month, and they fall even lower. And after that, they're told, "Why aren't you growing? Why don't you change your life?" Because they can't afford it. And if you are in that situation right now, I want you to understand one thing. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not behind. You are just at your stage. But there's another side to this, and it's a harsh one. If you understand where you are, if you understand that you are in the negative, you don't have the right to stand still. Yes, it's harder for you. Yes, you have fewer opportunities. Yes, your path is longer. But if you stop, no one will pull you out. Not motivational videos, not coaches, not advice. Only you. Your path may be longer, slower, harder. But if you keep moving, even with small steps, you are already rising. And maybe the most important thing to understand is this. Don't compare your 50-floor climb to someone else's 10 floors. You are playing a different game. And if you reach the roof, you won't just be successful. Harder for you than for others. The most painful part is people who understand nothing but speak as if they know everything. They easily throw around phrases like, "If you didn't succeed, you're weak. If you really want it, you'll do it. If you're poor, it's your choice." Seriously? These words are usually said by people who have simply never seen the other side of life. They haven't lived where you live. They haven't gone through what you're going through. They haven't felt the pressure you feel. They look at the world only from their own floor, and that's exactly why they judge others so easily. But there is another category of people whom life didn't just touch, it boiled them. Imagine a pot of boiling water. The water is life, difficulties, pressure, problems. And you put 3 things into it: a carrot, an egg, and coffee. The carrot is hard at first, but after being in boiling water for a long time, it becomes soft. The egg is the opposite. On the outside, it's fragile. Inside, it's soft. But after going through boiling water, it becomes hard inside. And coffee? It changes everything. It doesn't become softer or harder. It changes the water itself. And that's the whole point. Some people break under pressure. Others become tougher. And some change the environment around them, all because of the same life. So when you look at a person, you don't know what kind of boiling water they've been through. You don't know how many times they fell. You don't know how many times they gave up and started again. You don't know how much pain they've endured. But here's something interesting. People who have gone through a hard life, they start to see deeper. They can understand a person with just one look, understand where they are, understand how hard it is for them, understand what they're going through, because they've been there themselves. There's a powerful idea. I have never met a strong person with an easy past. Strength doesn't appear out of nowhere. It is born in difficulties, in struggle, in pain, in constant attempts not to give up. And that's why, before judging a person, you need to understand their path. And if you're watching this video right now, if you're young, if you're just starting, or if you've been trying for a long time but it hasn't worked yet, I want to tell you directly. You haven't lost. You just haven't arrived yet. Financial independence is not a quick path. It's not 1 year, it's not 2. Sometimes it's half a lifetime. But if you keep going, if you don't stop, you will get there. Sooner or later, slowly or quickly, but you will, because there is no other option. And here is the most important thought. Giving up does not make life easier. If you give up, your problems won't disappear. Life won't become easier. No one will come and save you. The problems will still be there. But if you move forward, if you fight, if you solve your problems yourself, you begin to take control of your life. You stop being a victim and become a player. You choose your direction. You build your path. You create your own reality. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's long. Yes, sometimes you want to give up. But remember one thing. Standing still is hard too. Living in the negative is hard too. Surviving every day is hard too. So if it's going to be hard anyway, why not choose to move forward? Why not choose the fight? Why not choose growth? Because only that path, sooner or later, will take you to where you want to be. And one day, you will look back and understand it was all worth it. That's all for now, friends. Thank you to everyone who watched this video until the end. Seriously, that already says a lot about you. Your opinion really matters to me. Write in the comments, what resonated with you the most from this video? Which floor are you on right now? And what would you add to this topic? I read the comments, and it's through them that I understand what videos to create next. Also write what topics you'd like to see on this channel. About money? About getting out of the negative? About real life without illusions? Or about the path to financial independence? If this video was useful to you, support it with a simple action. Leave a like, write a comment, and subscribe to the channel. For you, it takes just a few seconds, but for me, it's huge motivation to create even stronger, more honest, and more valuable videos. I don't promise an easy path, but I will speak to you honestly. Thank you for being here. Take care of yourself, and don't give up. See you in the next videos! Hello, I'm Emma. You need to hear this right now. Either now or never. You will regret it. Not today, not tomorrow, but one day for sure, when you realize that time is gone and you never even started. You keep telling yourself, I'll start later, when I have more money, when I have more time, when things get easier. But the truth is, it won't get easier. Every year, competition increases, opportunities decrease, your energy and strength fade, and the most dangerous part, you get used to postponing. Look at the people around you. How many of them once said, I also wanted a business, wanted freedom, wanted to change their life, but they never started. And now all they have left are words and regrets. Time is not something you have, it's something you are losing. Every day, you are either getting closer to your goal or further away from it. There is no neutral position. While you are thinking, someone else is already doing. While you are doubting, someone else is earning. While you are delaying, someone else is changing their life. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know everything. But you have to start, because the only real mistake is doing nothing. Start small. Take the first step today. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Let it be awkward. Let it be slow. But it will be progress. One day, you will find yourself in the future and ask, why didn't I start earlier? And at that moment, it may already be too late to change anything. So decide now, either now or never. If you keep postponing things, know this. Later may never come. Every year it only gets harder. Competition increases, earning becomes more difficult, and it's harder to break through. The world does not get easier. That's why you need to start now, while you're young, while you still have energy, time, and the ability to choose. The first 10 to 15 years will require a lot of work. A lot! This is not an easy path, but this period determines your future. If you invest maximum effort now, later you'll be able to live the way you want. Relax, travel, enjoy life. Think about it. What's better? Temporary difficulties now or constant problems in the future? Difficulties will come anyway. The only question is when you go through them. It's better to face them now, when you have the strength and the chance to change everything. If you keep delaying, you risk losing that chance. Later, it won't be as easy. There won't be as many opportunities as there are now. Start today, even with something small, but start. Because the future is not created later. It's created right now. I often notice one thing. Even at a mature age, there are people who end up with nothing, even though in their youth they earned more than others. But there was one problem. They spent everything down to the last cent. They earned and spent it. Earned again and spent it all again. They didn't think about the future. They didn't build reserves. They didn't create a safety cushion. And in the end, they were left without stability. And honestly, it's hard to watch. That's why it's important to think ahead. How are you living right now? You're not just spending money, you're spending your life. And the real question is, are you spending it wisely? You should live, you should enjoy life. But it's important to do it smartly. Find your thing, a job that suits you. If you haven't found it yet, keep searching. It's worth it. But at the beginning of the journey, you need to give it your maximum. The first 10 to 15 years are your foundation. During this period, you must work more than others. Learn, grow, develop skills. Sometimes even work more than one job. It's hard, but this is exactly what gives you freedom in the future. At the same time, don't forget about balance. Family matters. Time for yourself matters. Hobbies matter too. Ideally, your hobby can also generate income. For example, you love drawing. In your free time, you create art. First for yourself, then for loved ones. And later, you can start selling it or teach others what you know. This way, you not only have your main income, but also an additional one from something you enjoy. But for this to become possible, you need a base, financial stability, skills, experience. And all of this is built at the beginning. That's why right now is your most important period. Work, grow, invest in yourself, so that later you can live calmly, freely, and with joy. If you don't want to end up in old age without money, without a job, and without support, you need to think about it now. Your future is the result of your actions today. Everything you will have later is the product of your efforts in your youth. So the main question is, what are you doing right now? First, you need a strategy. Don't just live however it goes, but understand where you're heading. Second, save a part of your income, even a small amount. And don't just save, invest in yourself, in skills, in education, in courses, in experience. Sometimes these can also be real assets, equipment, transport, tools, things that can generate income. You need to build your foundation. If you give your maximum effort, search, try, make mistakes, and keep moving forward, within 10 to 15 years, you will definitely find your direction, something that suits you, something you enjoy, something that can make you money. Ideally, you should have a main job plus additional income from your hobby. What you enjoy can also earn you money, but all of this doesn't come instantly. First comes a period of hard work. Yes, you'll have to grind, a lot. Sometimes it will be tough, sometimes with no visible results, but this stage is what makes you strong. You can change jobs, try different paths, gain experience, and learn to adapt. And most importantly, you begin to see opportunities where others don't. Every mistake is not a failure, it's improvement. Every step is growth. And if you live like this for 10 to 15 years, you will become a different person, stronger, more experienced, more confident. And then you won't just live, you'll live peacefully. You'll be able to help your family, support your loved ones, create a good life around you, and rest without guilt. Real rest only comes when you've earned it. And believe me, it feels completely different. Deeper, stronger, real. So first, hard work. Then, freedom, not the other way around. If you choose comfort now, it will be hard later. If you choose hard work now, it will be easier later. The choice is simple. Start now. Why does everyone say grind, work at your maximum, move faster? Because the one who puts in more effort gets more. They try more, make more mistakes, learn more, see more opportunities. While others are thinking, they are doing. While others are afraid, they are trying. And in 10 to 15 years, such a person lives as if they've lived several lives. They gain experience that an average person wouldn't get even in 30 years. They try dozens of paths, learn to adapt, discover their strengths. And in the end, they become stronger, smarter, faster. It's like in sports. The one who trains more becomes stronger, understands their body and capabilities better. The same applies to life. At the beginning of your journey, you need to invest your maximum. Yes, you can rest. You can take a break sometimes. That's normal. But it's important not to lose balance. At the start, more work, less entertainment. Later, more freedom. This video is primarily for young people, from 15 to 30 years old. This is the age when a lot is decided. While some are having fun and spending everything they earn, others are building their future. And over the years, the difference becomes huge. Those who didn't think about the future begin to face difficulties. And even rest no longer brings joy, because real pleasure comes after overcoming challenges. When you've gone through difficulties, you gain inner peace, confidence, a real sense of happiness. And if you go through this path earlier, life becomes easier for you sooner than for others. You reach a new level faster. So value your time. Don't fall only for the idea of enjoying life. Yes, you should enjoy life, but without balance, it becomes a trap. With age, it becomes harder to take risks, harder to start over. That's why the best time for effort is now. Take risks, try, work, but do it wisely, so that later you can live calmly, freely, and truly happily. If this video resonated with you, support it with a like, and write in the comments what else you'd like to see. See you in the next videos! The biggest mistake that 90% of people make. If you've just started earning money but don't understand how to manage it properly, there's a high chance you will never become financially free. Because the truth is simple, 90% of people spend their first money the wrong way. Let's break down the main mistake. The biggest problem is that people don't control money. Money starts controlling them. How does this happen? When a person starts earning for the first time, especially good money, they feel a strong inner urge to immediately buy something. An expensive phone, clothes, a car, anything that makes them feel successful. But this desire is not about real wealth. It's an attempt to quickly satisfy an inner need for recognition and status. And this is exactly where most people make their biggest mistake. Instead of thinking about the future, they focus on instant pleasure. Instead of multiplying money, they start spending it. But if you truly want to grow financially, you need to think differently. The first thing you should think about when you start earning is not how to increase your expenses, but how to increase your income. Your task is not to spend money, but to make money work for you. If you currently have only one source of income, it's not enough. You should either create a second source or invest in the one you already have to make it generate more. For example, if you start earning more, don't rush to buy expensive things. Ask yourself a different question. Where can I invest this money so it brings me even more money? This is the key difference between the rich and the poor. The reality is that a person doesn't need much to live. You can live quite modestly. A small apartment, basic necessities, minimal expenses. Yes, it's not glamorous, but it's a strategy. If for some time you choose minimalism and direct most of your money toward investments and growth, you will multiply your progress. All extra money should serve one goal: increasing your income. First, you build the foundation. Then you enjoy the results. Because once you reach financial independence, you will be able to afford anything you want without stress or debt. But for that, you need patience and the right mindset, especially at the moment when money just starts coming in. At this stage, you either build the foundation of your future or you make mistakes that will hold you back for years. Let's look at what you can actually do. If a young person starts earning, instead of spending, they can invest. For example, buy equipment or tools that generate income, invest in skills and education, purchase subscriptions or services that save time and increase productivity, start developing an online business or an additional income stream. These are real investments. Sometimes the best investment isn't even work. If you have the ability to live 1 to 2 months without income, you can use this time to deeply study the market, explore different fields, and try yourself in different areas. Think, analyze, find your path. Because if you find something that truly suits you, it can change your entire life. And yes, this is also an investment in mindset, strategy, and your future. Remember the main idea. Money is a tool. Either you use it to build freedom, or you spend it to temporarily feel successful. The choice is always yours. Imagine this. You start making money. It doesn't matter, $1,000 a month, $3,000, or $5,000. The amount is not the point. The question is what you will do with it. Most people at this moment choose the easiest path. They start spending. But a smart person starts thinking differently. How can I make this money bring me even more money? Let's say you're already earning around $5,000 a month. You have a choice. Spend it all on yourself, or turn that money into a system that will grow. And this is where real wealthy thinking begins. For example, you have a brother. You know he understands technology well, can fix equipment, but can't find a decent job. What do most people do? Nothing. What do? You analyze the market, look at demand, and buy him equipment, tools or machines that will allow him to earn money. Now look what happens. You earn $5,000. Your brother starts earning $3,000 to $5,000. Your total income already doubles. This is the power of the right mindset. You're not just spending money, you're creating new sources of income. Let's go further. You have a younger brother. You see his potential, but it's not yet realized. You can buy him an affordable car, and he can start earning, for example, in taxi services. Or you can start a small business for him, a car wash, a mini service shop, anything. The main thing is not the idea, but the principle. Everyone in the system should generate income. And in the end, the picture looks like this. You earn $5,000. Your older brother earns $5,000. Your younger brother earns $3,000 to $5,000. Together, you are not just earning. You are building a system that continuously generates money. You become like a single mechanism, like a machine, like a printer that prints money. And now the most important part. Each of you is focused on your own role. Each of you strengthens your area. And because of this, you grow faster than you would alone. This is how you should think when you just start earning. Now, let's talk about something else important. Why do people buy expensive things right away? Because they want to show off, to impress, to get approval. But honestly, this is not about money. It's about inner emptiness. A person tries to fill the lack of attention, recognition, and confidence with external things. But the problem is, it doesn't work. You buy an expensive phone, and in a week it becomes normal. You buy clothes, and people forget in a couple of days. And you will want more again. It's a trap. That's why your task is not to spend for impression, but to invest for results. Think in years ahead. Build a strategy. Plan not for a month, but for 3, 5, 10 years. There's a good phrase. He who laughs last, laughs best. And it's true. People forget the past very quickly. If today you live modestly, someone might underestimate you. Someone might think you're not successful. But time will pass. And if during that time you were building a system, investing, and growing, you will reach a completely different level. And then no one will remember who you were before. People don't remember the journey. People remember the result. So don't be afraid to look modest now. Don't be afraid to live minimally. Don't be afraid of what others think. Everyone has their own problems. Believe me, people think about you much less than you think. Your task is to focus on your path. Live below your means. Don't show off unnecessarily. Don't spend for status. Instead, direct your money where it can grow. Invest. Create income streams. Protect yourself. You should have at least 2 to 3 sources of income, because no one knows what will happen tomorrow. Any system can fail, and your task is to be prepared. Build a financial safety cushion, create additional income streams, and most importantly, be patient. Sometimes it takes 3 years, sometimes 5 years, sometimes 10 years. But if you stay the course, the result will be worth everything. And then you will live not for survival, but for freedom. And you know what's most interesting? Don't forget one thing. What you want to buy with your first money, you will still buy it anyway. An expensive phone, a cool car, a beautiful house. All of that will come. But the real question is, when will you buy it? Now, driven by emotions and then fall back to zero? Or a bit later, but with confidence, without stress, and with financial security? If you are patient, if you invest wisely, if you think strategically, you will be able to buy not only for yourself, you will be able to buy it for your brother, for your family, for your father and mother, and that's when it becomes a real victory. That's when you can proudly say, I have truly achieved something. And then your smile will be real. As they say, he who laughs last, laughs best. Now, think about your parents. If your father or mother works a regular job, they deal with stress every day. Fear of losing their job, pressure from bosses, responsibility, fatigue, tension. It slowly wears a person down. And if you truly want to make them happy, don't just give them money, give them peace and freedom. Create a small business for them, or something that feels like a hobby, so they can work for themselves, without fear, without pressure, at their own pace. When a person understands that something truly belongs to them, they begin to live differently, calmer, lighter, happier. And that might be the most valuable thing you can give your family. So when you just start earning, don't think about showing off. Think about the future. Think about how to build a system, how to support yourself and your loved ones, how to create stability. This will give you the strength to be patient. Because, let's be honest, what do 90% of people do? They take all their savings and buy something expensive. A car, a phone, clothes. And after some time, they have no money, no income, no stability. But they have an expensive item that brings in nothing. That's not smart. That's a mistake. That is the exact mistake most people make. For example, you buy an expensive car, let's say a BMW M5, but it doesn't generate income. It only requires fuel, maintenance, expenses. It's a liability, not an asset. If you're not using it to make money, it pulls you down. And the question is simple: why do you need it right now? So remember the main thing. Don't spend your first money to show off. Don't try to impress others. People will forget in a few days, but the consequences of your decisions will stay with you for years. Spend money wisely. Invest in things that generate income. Create income streams. Think years ahead. And most importantly, do it not for others. Do it for yourself, for your family, for their peace and happiness. Don't be like the 90%. Be the one who thinks, the one who is patient, the one who builds, and then the result is inevitable. And now we've reached the most important part, the mistake that 90% of people make. They fall for advertising. It sounds simple, but the consequences are huge. The problem is that most people don't understand where their real needs end and where imposed desires begin. In reality, a person has very simple basic needs: food, clothing, a roof over their head, basic transportation. That's it. Everything else is already a level of comfort or luxury. And this is where the trap begins. If you have a big house, but half the rooms are empty, that's not wealth. That's an unnecessary liability. If your closet is full of clothes, but you wear only 5 to 6 items, everything else is frozen money. If you have a lot of things just sitting unused, those are not assets. Those are resources that are not working. And now the main question. Why do people keep buying all this? The answer is advertising. The advertising industry is designed very cleverly. Every person has a natural order of needs. First, basic necessities, then convenience, then comfort, and only after that, luxury. But the goal of advertising is to break that order. They want you to skip steps. They want you to buy things you're not ready to buy yet. They want you to feel like you need it right now. A simple example. You go to the store with a specific list: bread, water, basic groceries. But once you walk in, you start seeing promotions, banners, discount today only, last chance. And what happens? You leave with a bunch of unnecessary items, and sometimes even forget to buy what you actually needed. Sound familiar? That's how the system works. It doesn't help you, it controls you. And that's exactly why 90% of people stay at the same level. They don't spend according to a plan, they spend based on emotions. Now, there are two types of people. The first type, they start earning and immediately raise their lifestyle. They buy everything they want. They live at the maximum. And after some time, they are left with no money again. And the cycle repeats. Earn to spend, to reset, to earn again, to spend again. It's a vicious circle. The second type thinks differently. They live modestly, even when they start earning more. They consciously choose minimalism. They keep only what is necessary and direct everything else into investments, into growth, into development, into creating income. From the outside, it may seem like they live like the poor, but in reality, they are building a foundation. And this is the person who eventually rises. And now the question for you. What do you choose? To look rich now, but stay poor inside? Or to look modest now, but become truly wealthy later? Smart people choose the second. They understand. First, you need patience. First, you need to build a system. First, you need to learn to control your desires. And only then, allow yourself more. Poor people live by emotions. Wealthy people live by strategy. Poor people buy what is imposed on them. Wealthy people buy only what they truly need. That's why some people grow, while others stay in the same place for years. The choice is always yours. Friends, that's all for today. Remember the main points. Act wisely. Think strategically. Develop a wealthy mindset. Don't fall for advertising. Don't spend money emotionally. First, build your foundation. Live modestly in the beginning so you can live the way you want later. First, financial independence. Then, everything else. Be patient, and the results will come. If you have thoughts, ideas, or disagree with something, be sure to write in the comments. Your opinion matters to me. If you have questions, write them too. I'll try to respond. And tell me what topics you want to see in the next videos. Support this video with a like and share it with your friends. Maybe this video will change their mindset. Thank you for watching. Good luck, and see you in the next videos. Hi, I'm Emma. The rich are stealing from us. Why are 90% of people poor and getting even poorer? I'll explain. Why do 90% of people remain poor? In this world, everything is different. Different countries, different living conditions, different opportunities. But most importantly, different people. Every person is shaped not only by themselves, but also by their environment and their ancestors. There are families where, from generation to generation, qualities related to accumulation, strategic thinking, and a strict attitude toward resources are passed down. In such families, a specific type of mindset is formed: cold, calculated, and result-oriented. And there are other people, those for whom humanity, compassion, and inner harmony matter more. For example, imagine a situation. A person has money, but their close friend is in trouble and needs help. One person will help without hesitation because relationships and human values matter more to them. Another person, even in such a moment, won't give a single penny because for them, money is the priority. And such people truly exist. If you look at the richest people in the world, you may notice one common trait. They have a very strong drive to accumulate. It's not just a desire, it's an internal force that seems to be passed down from generation to generation. A constant hunger for more, to earn more, to own more, to control more. Now, let's understand why most people remain poor. One of the reasons is that they choose a different path. Their ancestors chose not wealth, but a calm, stable, and, in their own way, happy life. A life made up of simple things. A home, a family, maybe a car, a small yard or garden? For such people, happiness is not in millions. Happiness is in simple moments: drinking water peacefully, feeling inner harmony, being honest with themselves and others. They have clear priorities. First, a clear conscience, then honesty, and only after that, material things. They do not strive for wealth at any cost. They are not willing to step over others. They do not want to humiliate or trample other people for the sake of their own success. And here lies the key difference. Poor people are more likely to choose to stay at their level, but preserve their humanity. Wealthy people, on the other hand, are often willing to sacrifice that in order to achieve their goals. This is the fundamental difference in mindset. I will tell you one idea that may seem unusual. Perhaps you have rarely heard it, or maybe never thought about it at all. Listen carefully. There is a belief that a truly kind person and an extremely wealthy person is a rare combination, almost an exception. Why is that? Because when a kind person starts earning and accumulating money, they naturally want to share it. They help their loved ones, support friends, donate to charity, and do not ignore those who are in need. For them, money is not only a means of accumulation, but also a tool to help others. And here lies a paradox. By constantly giving away part of their resources, such a person slows down their own growth. They do not focus solely on accumulation. They share their opportunities with others. Now let's look at the opposite side. There are people who put accumulation first. They know how to set strict priorities. They do not get distracted by other people's problems, do not spend resources where they see no benefit, and always think about results. Such people, as a rule, grow faster. This does not mean that all wealthy people are bad, but it does mean that the path to great wealth often requires cold calculation, discipline, and the ability to say no, even when it is difficult. In the modern world, we often see large fortunes accompanied by public charity, but it is important to understand. Sometimes this is part of an image, part of a strategy. Some of the help is truly sincere, while some of it is a tool for influence and reputation. Now imagine yourself. You start earning money. You begin to have income and opportunities. And around you there are people. Among your friends, relatives, and acquaintances, there will always be someone who truly needs help. Sometimes it's not just one person. Sometimes there are several. And here a choice arises. If you are a normal, kind person, you won't be able to simply walk past. You will help. Maybe not everyone at once, but at least those who are truly struggling. And this is natural. But at that moment, you are spending your resources, time, money, and energy. And that is why a kind person, as a rule, grows more slowly. Whereas a person who is fully focused on results, accumulation, and their own goals grows faster. They do not spread themselves thin. They do not divide their attention. And in the end, we arrive at a reality that can be observed today. Most financial resources are concentrated in the hands of people who know how to act decisively, rationally, and strategically. This does not always mean the absence of kindness, but it almost always means prioritizing results over emotions. And that is why, before idealizing the richest people in the world and making them your role models, it is worth asking yourself, what path did they take? What decisions did they make? And what did they have to sacrifice? Because behind great wealth, there are almost always difficult choices. And in the end, every person decides for themselves who they want to be. Someone who helps others and lives with a clear conscience, or someone who goes all the way in pursuit of results. What conclusion can be drawn from all of this? First of all, you should not blindly idealize extremely wealthy people. There is no need to turn them into idols or think that their path is the only correct one. Why? Because the real world is much more complex than it seems at first glance. It's not only about personal qualities or hard work. Connections, access to information, and influence play a huge role. In many cases, big business closely interacts with politics. This is no secret. Entrepreneurs have connections with officials, and officials have their own interests in business. They exchange information, support each other, and act within mutual benefit. Imagine a simple situation. There is an entrepreneur and there is an influential official. They communicate, meet, and discuss the future development of a city or region. The official knows the plans. where new projects will be built, which areas will develop, and which support programs will be launched. And the one who receives this information earlier than others gains a huge advantage. They can enter the right project in advance, gain access to valuable resources, occupy a promising niche before others. Now, imagine another level. The government launches support programs for businesses, for low-income groups, for the development of certain industries. Ideally, these resources should reach those who truly need them, but in reality, it often happens differently. Those who have access to information, connections, and opportunities are the first to use these programs. They know how to properly prepare documents, understand how the system works, and use it to their advantage. As a result, an imbalance appears. Resources that were meant to help the weaker are partially captured by stronger and more prepared players. And this creates the effect we observe. The rich become even stronger, while it becomes harder for ordinary people to move forward. It is important to understand, it is not only about bad or good people, it is about the system, the rules of the game, and access to opportunities. And yes, such processes can increase inequality. Over time, large players build teams, connections, and structures. They grow not only in money, but also in influence. A network of people appears who work together and strengthen each other. It becomes like an expanding system. More resources, more people, more control over different areas. And the bigger this system becomes, the harder it is for a newcomer to break in without knowledge, strategy, and an understanding of the rules. Main idea: do not blindly copy or idealize someone else's path. It is important to understand how the system works and build your own strategy consciously. In today's world, we constantly hear the same message. If you are poor, it's your fault. If you are not successful, it means you are weak. If you were stronger, you would have already achieved results. But the truth is much more complex. Life is not only about personal effort, it is also about the system we live in. Access to opportunities, information, and resources. And when a person is constantly told that everything is their fault, it starts to create psychological pressure. That is why today so many people face stress, burnout, and depression. People lose motivation because they feel like they are playing a game where the rules are not in their favor. When resources and opportunities are distributed unevenly, it creates pressure on the majority. And let's be honest, in such a system, some people find it easier to grow, while for others, it is significantly harder. This does not mean that everything is lost, but it does mean that everyone's path is different. Sometimes a kind, honest, and humane person really progresses more slowly, not because they are weak, but because they choose to remain human. And it is important to understand this. If you are in a difficult situation right now, if things are hard for you, don't rush to blame yourself. You are not alone. There are millions of people like you. And it is not always a matter of laziness or weakness. Sometimes it is a matter of conditions, environment, and starting opportunities. So the main message is, do not blame yourself. Do not devalue yourself. Do not lose hope. Yes, reality can be harsh, but even in this reality, everyone has a chance to move forward. Maybe not quickly, but steadily. Stay resumni, work on yourself, and do not lose your humanity. Because in the end, what matters is not only how much you earned, but also what kind of person you became. Conclusion. If this topic resonates with you, share your opinion in the comments. Do you agree or not? It's important to discuss. Leave a like if you want more deep analyses like this. Subscribe to the channel. More interesting and powerful topics are ahead. And write what you would like to see in the next video. Good luck to you. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. See you soon! Hi, I'm Emma. Today, we'll talk about where the path to success begins, why we need financial literacy, and how to take risks wisely. Financial literacy. Where it all begins. Financial literacy is not just the ability to earn money, it is the ability to manage it, to understand where it goes, how to preserve it, and how to grow it. When a person first starts thinking about finances, they usually encounter two key concepts: assets and liabilities. This is where real understanding of money begins. Assets and liabilities. Explained, Umpley. What are assets? Assets are everything that brings you benefit or income. These can include money that works for you, investments, business, skills that allow you to earn tools for work. For example, equipment, technology, even knowledge if you know how to apply it. For example, if a person has a laptop that they use to earn money, it is an asset. If they have video editing skills and create content, that is also an asset. Even basic things such as food, clothing, housing are assets because they support your life and allow you to function. But it's important to understand, not every asset generates money directly, but it must provide value. What are liabilities? Liabilities are everything that does not bring value, does not generate income, or even drains your money. In simple terms, it is dead weight. Examples: a large house where you only use one room, a car that just sits unused, things you bought but don't use, even knowledge that you never apply. A very important idea. Even a useful thing can become a liability if you don't use it. How to turn liabilities into assets. A smart person doesn't just get rid of liabilities. They try to turn them into assets. Examples: empty rooms, rent them out; car, use it for work, delivery, taxi, etc. Land, rent it out or develop it. Knowledge, teach others, create content, work in your field. If something cannot be turned into an asset, it may be better to sell it and invest the money into something more useful. Example: sell a large house, buy a smaller one, invest the remaining money into business or investments. Important thought: use your potential. Every person has skills, knowledge, abilities. But the problem is that most people use only 20 to 30% of them. True financial literacy is unlocking your full potential using everything you have. If you have knowledge, apply it. If you have a skill, develop it. If you have an opportunity, use it. How to plan income and risks. Now let's move to a very important topic: risks. Many people are afraid to take risks, but without risk, there is no growth. The question is not whether to take risks. The question is how to take risks wisely. Smart risk. Model. Real experience. Here is a strategy that can be called reasonable risk. Stage 1. Stability. For 1 year, you work a stable job, earn a guaranteed income, save money. You build savings, a financial safety cushion. Stage 2. Risk. The next year, you try something new. Launch projects, study the market, experiment. Yes, you may. Take loans, invest, take risks. But there is one important rule. The main rule of risk: never risk more than your annual income. Why? Because if things go wrong, you can repay debts within 1 year. You won't destroy your life, you will stay afloat. If your debt is greater than what you can earn in a year, it's no longer risk, it's danger. Repeatable strategy. You can repeat this cycle: 1 year, stable work; 1 year, risk and experimentation, and continue like this for several years. For example, year 1, work; year 2, try business; year 3, stable again; year 4, take risks again, and so on. Why it works? Because you don't stay still. You constantly try new things, but you always have a safety net. You don't bet everything on one card. You play the long game. Conclusion. Financial literacy is not about being rich. It's about control. Control over your money, your decisions, your risks. Remember 3 main rules. 1. Increase your assets. 2. Decrease your liabilities. 3. Take smart risks. And most importantly, money is a tool, and you are the one who must control it. Financial literacy. Power in small things. Guys, it's important to understand one thing. Financial literacy is not about quick money. It's about consistency and discipline. It's such a subtle topic that even small actions, if done regularly, can lead to big results. Imagine, you save a small amount every day, or invest part of your income every month. At first, it seems insignificant, but after 5 to 10 years, this small thing turns into significant capital. This is called the effect of accumulation and compound interest. Long-term thinking, the main secret. Most people want results immediately, but wealth is almost always built over time. You can set goals like building capital over 10 years, buying real estate, creating passive income, And if you move step by step, the result becomes almost inevitable. Where to invest? A simple hierarchy. There are different types of investments, each with its own level of risk and return. Here's a simple way to understand them. 1. Real estate. Apartments, houses, commercial properties. Pros: stability, rental income potential, protection against inflation. Cons: requires large capital. That's why many consider real estate one of the most reliable investments. 2. Precious metals. Gold, silver. Pros: preserve value, protection during crises. Cons: do not generate active income. 3. Land plots. Agricultural land. Pros: increases in value over time, limited resource. 4. Transport. Cars, equipment. Can be an asset if it generates income, for example, work, rental, but more often becomes a liability. 5. Stocks and bonds. This is where real investing begins. What are stocks and bonds? Stocks. A stock is a share in a company. When you buy a stock, you become a small owner of a business. You can earn, from price growth, from dividends, a portion of the company's profit. Example: buy a stock at a low price leads to the company grows, leads to sell at a higher price. Bonds. Bonds are essentially debt. You lend money to a government, a company, and in return, you get your money back plus interest. This is a more stable but less profitable instrument. How to invest as a beginner. If you're just starting, there's no need to complicate things. Here's a simple strategy. 1. Start small. You don't need thousands of dollars. Start with any amount. What matters is the habit. 2. Think long-term. Investing is not a casino. Don't try to get rich quickly. 3. Diversify risks. Don't put everything in one place. For example, part in stocks, part in savings, part in self-development. 4. Study the market. Look at what big investors do, which companies are growing, which industries are developing. But remember, don't copy blindly. Understand why they do it. 5. Don't invest emotionally. Beginner mistakes: fear, greed, panic. A successful investor is a calm person. Fast growth versus smart growth. You mentioned an important idea: investing in small companies that grow fast. Yes, that's true. It can bring high returns, but the risk is also high. You can lose money. So, part of your money in stable instruments, part in high-risk opportunities. That's balance. What makes a successful investor? A successful investor is not someone who guessed right. It's someone who is disciplined, is patient, thinks years ahead, doesn't give up after mistakes, and most importantly, keeps learning constantly. Conclusion: financial literacy is a long-term game. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to have a lot of money, but you must think, plan, act. And remember, small steps every day equals big results over time. Patience and discipline, the foundation of financial success. Guys, let's be honest. We live in an age of speed. Everything around us tells us earn quickly, get results instantly, become rich in a month. But the truth is, financial literacy works the opposite way. It's not about speed. It's about consistency, patience, and discipline. Why most people don't achieve results. A very common mistake. A person sets a goal, makes a plan, starts taking action. But then it becomes boring. Results don't come quickly. A new idea appears. And they quit the old, start something new, quit again. And so 5 to 10 years pass. In the end, 0 results. The power of one plan. There is an important idea that few people understand. Even an average plan is better than constantly changing plans. Why? Because time starts working for you. Experience accumulates. You become stronger in one field. If you move in one direction for 10 years, you are no longer a beginner. You become a professional. staying true to your path. Financially successful people are not different because they are smarter. They are different because they don't give up, don't jump from one thing to another, know how to wait. They stay committed to their plan, even when it's hard, there are no results, yet others seem to move faster. Discipline is doing it even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is not motivation. It's when you have no mood, no energy, no desire. But you still save money, invest, and work on yourself. This is what separates dreamers from people who get results. What's happening in the world today? Important to understand. Today, the world is changing very fast. Technology is advancing, artificial intelligence is growing, many professions are disappearing, new opportunities are emerging. What does this mean for you? You need to be flexible, but not chaotic. Balance, stability plus adaptation. It's very important to understand. You shouldn't change your goal every month, but you can adjust your path. For example, your goal is financial independence. The path may change. First a job, then a business, then investments. But the goal remains the same. Where to focus today? Simply put, there are several key areas to pay attention to right now. 1. Skills and knowledge. The best investment is yourself. Education, new professions, digital skills. This is an asset no one can take away. 2. Online and technology. YouTube, content creation, IT, digital products. There is massive growth here right now. 3. Classic assets. Real estate, business, investments. They are not going anywhere. 4. Financial markets. Stocks, funds, bonds. These are tools for long-term growth. What to pay attention to? Before any investment, ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Do I understand where I'm investing? 2. Am I ready to lose this money? 3. Is this a short-term emotion or a long-term decision? If you don't have clear answers, don't rush. The main principle: don't chase quick money. Build a system. Because quick money comes and goes. A system brings money consistently. Final conclusion: financial literacy is a combination of mindset, discipline, patience, strategy. You must choose a path, follow it, not give up. Adjust, but not jump around. And remember, time rewards the patient. Belief and persistence, the inner power that determines everything. Guys, there's one thing that is rarely talked about in the context of money, but without it, nothing works at all. It is belief in yourself and persistence. Everything starts with mindset. It's very important to understand. Results don't start with actions, but with thoughts. If a person is internally confident, I will succeed. I can do it. It's only a matter of time. They are already on the right path. But if in their mind, this is not for me, I won't succeed, I'm not capable, then they are stopping themselves. Belief is not just words. Belief is not magic and not just thinking positively. It is a deep inner understanding. If I keep doing this consistently and correctly, the result will come. And this is not motivation. This is a fact of life. The law of time and effort. Remember one powerful idea. If a person does one thing for 10 to 15 years, they will definitely achieve results. It is almost impossible to do something every day with effort while learning and improving and stay at zero. Even if the path is difficult, even with mistakes, the result will still come. But one important condition: a reasonable goal. Belief should not be blind, it should be reasonable. You need to consider your interests, understand what you truly enjoy, choose a direction where you are ready to work long-term, because without interest, you won't last the distance. What is persistence? Now, the most important part, persistence. Persistence is continuing to move forward even when it's hard, long, and there are no results yet. It's when you fail, you try again. You lose money, you learn and keep going. You feel tired, but you don't give up. Persistence is not one big push. It is hundreds of small steps without stopping. Why persistence is so important? Because on the path to success, there will always be mistakes, losses, disappointments, slow progress. And most people break exactly here. They think, if it didn't work quickly, it's not for me. But the truth is, it's just part of the journey. What persistence gives you? If you are persistent, you gain 1. Experience. You begin to understand how the market works, where the mistakes are, what really makes money. 2. Confidence. With each step, you become stronger. You are no longer afraid of risks, mistakes, uncertainty. 3. Results. Most important. Persistence almost always beats talent. You don't have to be the smartest. You can start from zero. But if you don't give up, keep going, keep learning, you will surpass those who quit. Why people give up? Because they want quick results, are not ready to wait, don't accept mistakes. But success is not a straight line. It is a path with ups and downs. The combination, belief plus persistence. Separately, they are weak, but together, belief gives direction, persistence gives movement, and this leads to results. Final conclusion. If you have chosen a goal, made a plan, and are following it, add to this checkmark belief in yourself, checkmark persistence, checkmark patience. And then the question is not, will it work or not? The only question is, when will it work? Who especially needs financial literacy. Financial literacy is important for everyone, but there is a group of people for whom it is critically important. This is young people, roughly from 15 to 25 years old. Why this age in particular? Because this is the period when mindset is formed, habits are built, the first serious decisions are made. And at this moment, a person can either build a strong future or waste years for nothing. Why it's important to start early. Imagine two people. The first started investing at 18, saved even small amounts, studied and developed. The second started at 30, with no experience and no savings. The difference between them after 10 years is huge. And it's not about the amount, it's about time. The power of time and habits. If a student saves a small amount every month, studies investing at least 1 hour a day, learns how to manage money, then after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, they already build capital. And most importantly, they understand how money works. Advantage over others. When such a person enters adult life, they already have savings experience, financial mindset, understanding of assets and liabilities. They don't start from zero. They are already ahead. Investing, a path from poverty to freedom. It's very important to understand investing is not about quick money. It is slow, steady, but very reliable path. If you do everything right, save, invest, learn, don't give up, it can truly change your life. A simple formula for young people. If you're young, remember: 1. Start now, even small. 2. Learn every day. 3. Control your expenses. 4. Build assets. 5. Think long-term. Guys, now a question for you. What do you think about financial literacy? Have you already started investing? Or just planning to? What new things did you learn from this video? Write in the comments. It will be interesting to read your opinion. And don't forget, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and tell me what topic you want to see in the next video. Financial literacy is not a talent. It is a skill that can be developed, and the earlier you start, the stronger your future will be. Good luck to everyone. Take care of yourselves and your money. See you in the next videos. Cuckoo, my name is Emma. Today, we'll figure out what all the coaches and business trainers forgot to tell us. Why doesn't it work for many, but some succeed? How to become successful and rich. Every person in this world wants to become rich, successful, and to realize their full potential. But it's important to understand one simple truth. We all start from different conditions. We are born in different countries, into different families, and into different economic and political circumstances. Each of us has our own level of opportunities, our own path, and our own chances. That is why today I want to speak as honestly and realistically as possible, without illusions or fairy tales, about how success is actually formed, and why some people achieve wealth more easily, while others have to work much longer and harder to reach it. Let's start from the very beginning. The first and most important factor is your parents, and even your ancestors, your grandparents and their environment. This is the foundation that largely determines your starting point in life. Yes, there are exceptions, stories of people who rise from nothing and become incredibly successful, but let's be honest, such cases are extremely rare. It's like one chance in millions. So we won't rely on exceptions. We will talk about reality. And the reality is this. Numerous studies show that around 80% of successful and wealthy people grew up in families where the parents were educated, intellectually developed, and socially active. They could have been scientists, professionals, politicians, journalists, or simply people with a high level of thinking and education. Such parents give their children not only a material foundation, but more importantly, a mindset, an environment, and an understanding of life. A child from such a family starts several steps ahead. They have a broader worldview, higher self-confidence, and more opportunities. That is why it is so difficult to become successful if a person did not have such a start. But this is not a sentence. It simply means you will have to work harder and more consciously. Now let's move to the second important factor, upbringing. Not only who your parents were matters, but also how they raised you, how they communicated with you, and what place you had in the family. If a child is not treated as a personality, but merely as a responsibility, fed, clothed, and told, "Be grateful for that," it is not enough. A child needs to feel their value, importance, and respect. Unfortunately, in many families, the opposite happens. Children are not taken seriously. They are not given a voice, and their thinking is not developed. As a result, a person grows up with the belief that they are not on the same level, that they are not important. And here is the paradox. When that child grows up, people start demanding success from them. They ask, "Why didn't you become successful?" But they forget that the foundation was never built in childhood. Because investing in a child is not only about money. It is about attention, respect, communication, and the development of their personality. A simple example. When guests come to the house, friends of the parents or relatives, in more conscious and well-off families, the child is included in the conversation. They listen to adults, learn, absorb information, and feel like part of society. But in other families, the child is sent to another room with the words, "Go away, the adults are talking." And at that moment, a belief is formed in the child's mind. I am not important. I am below others. My opinion does not matter. Over time, this feeling only grows stronger and begins to affect their entire life, their confidence, ambitions, and ability to achieve success. And this is just one of the key reasons why people end up with such different life outcomes. I try to explain everything to you as honestly and clearly as possible, with real-life examples and based on reality. My goal is to show how one can truly become successful and wealthy without illusions or empty motivation. I am not a motivational speaker in the traditional sense. I don't talk about meditation, visualization, or magical thinking. I talk about real facts, life experience, and patterns that can be observed in the real world. Sometimes I will also share personal observations from my own life. Let's move on. We have already talked about how a huge role is played by parents and ancestors, as well as the conditions in which a person grows up. Now let's take a deeper look at the psychology of personality formation. But before we continue, it's important to understand one thing. This is not about blaming parents. They also had their own difficulties, their own upbringing, their own environment, and their own level of understanding of life. They passed on to us what they themselves had, so there's no need to look for someone to blame. It's important to understand the essence and move forward. Imagine a marathon. One person runs with a flag, putting in all their strength. After covering a certain distance, they pass the flag to another participant, who continues the path to the finish line. The same thing happens in life. Parents are that first participant. They carry the flag up to a certain point. They give the child a start, shape their foundation, their mindset, and their confidence. But all parents have different capabilities. Some pass the flag at the right time and in a strong position, while others pass it later or in a weaker state. And then the second participant, the person themselves, has to either continue with what they have or even go back to strengthen their foundation before moving forward. That is why everyone has a different starting point. There are families where, from early childhood, the child is guided, developed, and given the opportunity to try different directions. Parents invest, not only money, but also time, attention, and support. They help the child discover themselves, learn languages, develop skills, and find their path. And most importantly, they give them inner confidence. They say, "You can become whoever you want. We will support you. We are with you." Such support forms a strong personality. But it is important to understand, not everything depends only on financial resources. Even with limited means, parents can give much more through attitude, respect, attention, and belief in the child. Parents should not just raise a child, but help them believe in themselves. And the sooner they pass this flag, the more chances a person has to move forward confidently and without unnecessary losses. But after that, everything begins to depend on the person themselves. And here we come to the next topic, psychology. People are different from the very beginning. Each person has their own type of thinking, their own character, their own inner world. For example, there are creative people. It is difficult for them to perform monotonous or physically demanding work. They are often immersed in their thoughts, reflecting, searching for ideas. Their attention is directed inward, and it can be hard for them to fully devote themselves to standard jobs. There are active, energetic personalities, leaders. They make decisions quickly, move a lot, communicate, and take action. They have a high level of energy and often lead others. There are people inclined toward communication and sharing information, so-called communicators. They easily absorb information and pass it on, connecting people with each other. There are more reserved, analytical types. They don't speak much, but they think deeply, analyze, and make precise decisions. Such people often prove themselves in strategic and managerial roles. There are speakers, observers, and executors. Everyone has their own role, and this is normal. Imagine that people are like different types of technology. There are powerful gaming computers, office computers, tablets, and phones. Each device has its own purpose. In the same way, in society, every person is needed, and everyone performs their own function. If you remove even one, a gap appears. The most important thing is to understand who you are and to develop your own strengths, rather than trying to become someone else. I want to give another interesting example about the influence of parents and ancestors. One well-known scientist once expressed a very harsh but thought-provoking idea. He said that a person's level of intellectual development largely depends on the generations before them. According to him, if a father, grandfather, and great-grandfather had no education and did not develop themselves, then the chances of becoming a strong intellectual are significantly lower. He compared it to technology. Imagine that the human brain is like a computer. For some, it is a powerful system with a large amount of RAM, capable of processing information quickly. For others, it is a simpler system with more limited capabilities. Of course, this is not an absolute truth. There are exceptions. People who, despite a simple background, develop themselves independently, read a lot, explore the world, and become strong individuals. But as we have already said, such cases are rare. At this point, we gradually conclude the topic of ancestors and move on to the next important stage, the psychology of a person. Every person is different from the very beginning. Each has their own type of thinking, their own character, and their own inner world. And it is very important for parents to understand this from early childhood. For example, if a child is creative, they may not be the fastest or most active in conventional work. They tend to reflect more, feel more deeply, and analyze. Forcing them to live according to someone else's template means suppressing their potential. On the other hand, there are people who are active, fast, and energetic. They may not always be inclined toward deep creativity, but they excel in action, leadership, and moving forward. And the task of parents is not to remake the child, but to understand their nature and help them develop their strengths. But beyond that, much depends on the person themselves. And here we come to one of the key points: life mission. Every person should ask themselves, how can I be useful to this world? It can be anything. Sharing truthful information with people, creating conditions and opportunities for society, building businesses, engaging in science, creating, inspiring, teaching. The main thing is that the goal is not only about money, but also about contribution, because it is exactly such goals that give energy to move forward. Today, we also see another problem. Many people, especially on the internet, spread unreliable information. With the help of AI, false facts are created, reality is distorted, and it becomes increasingly difficult for people to distinguish truth from falsehood. This overloads the mind, confuses people, and creates additional pressure. That is why it is so important to strive for honesty and to create truly useful content that helps rather than misleads. Next comes the path of development. Any big goal must be broken down into small steps. It is impossible to reach the SRASU, but it is possible to move toward it gradually, day by day. For example, imagine this. If you learn just one new word in a foreign language every day, then in 10 years, you will have a high level of proficiency. Small steps create big results. That is why it is important to constantly develop yourself. Learn not only at school, but also independently. Acquire new skills. Stay interested in what is happening in the world. Study technology, computers, and artificial intelligence. You cannot stay aside from progress. It is also important to develop yourself in a well-rounded way. If you focus on only one thing, you may miss something else. Therefore, you should do sports, develop your thinking, try creative activities, learn languages, work with modern technologies. Only in this way can a strong and resilient personality be formed. Continuous development is not a choice. It is a necessity in the modern world. I want to add one more important thought about childhood and psychology. One psychologist once said a very deep thing. Every child must fully live through their childhood. What does this mean? He gave a simple but very powerful example. One father came to him and, with gratitude, shared his story. After the consultation, he began asking his child an unusual question. "Son, did you play enough today?" At first, the child was surprised. He didn't understand why his father was asking this. And one day he answered, "No, I didn't play much today." Then the father said, "All right, let's get dressed and go play." And they went, and they played together for several hours. And this started happening every day. After some time, the child's teacher noticed changes. He said to the father, "Your child has become more focused, more diligent, and has started studying better." The father was moved to tears. And then one day the child said to him, "Dad, I love you." At that moment, the father realized how much he had overlooked before. His child had been unhappy. He went back to the psychologist and said, "If it weren't for you, I would have never understood that my child simply needed a childhood." That is the essence. A child needs to play. They need to fully experience their childhood, because only then, as an adult, can they truly be happy. And happiness is the foundation of everything. To become successful, a person must first feel inner peace and joy. Without this, any achievements will feel empty. That is why it is important to learn simple things, to be grateful, to notice what you already have, to find joy even in small things. Sometimes you need to pause and look back. Think, what was I dreaming about 10 years ago? And realize that many of those things have already become reality. This is awareness. This is gratitude. You should not get lost in the fast pace of life and the constant race. First, you need to learn to feel life. With this, we conclude the topic of childhood and inner state. Now we move on to the next important block, external factors that also strongly influence success. The first is global giants and the information environment. Today, there are a huge number of large companies and media structures in the world that shape the information space. What we see, hear, and read largely depends on the interests behind these sources. Information can guide people's thinking, shape their views, and even influence their behavior. And this influence is not always positive. Some films, news, or motivational materials can distort reality, overload the mind, and lead a person off their path. That is why it is important to be able to filter information and think independently. The next factor is the economy and the market. With each passing year, competition increases. In the early 2000s, in many countries, it was easier to start a business and grow. In the 2000s, it became harder. Today, it is even more difficult. Why? Because large companies are occupying more and more space, strengthening their influence, and leaving fewer opportunities for newcomers. This does not mean that success is impossible, but it does mean that the path has become more challenging and requires more effort, knowledge, and flexibility. The political situation also plays a huge role. In some countries, development is limited due to conflicts, due to economic problems, due to restrictions on movement or business. And this also affects a person's opportunities. And one more important factor is the generation and environment. Today's generation has, in many ways, become more focused on itself. In the past, it was more common to hear stories of people rising thanks to their honesty, hard work, or character. Today, such cases are less frequent. The world has become more competitive and more pragmatic. People more often think about their own benefit, and this also needs to be taken into account. Understanding all these factors should not stop you. On the contrary, it should give you clarity. When you understand reality, you can act more consciously and build your path while taking all conditions into account. As I mentioned before, the world is becoming more and more selfish every year. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine 5 people sitting at one table with a large plate of food in the center. If everyone respects each other, eats calmly, and offers one another, "Have some too, try it," then a sense of attentiveness and solidarity develops. People eat carefully, slowly, and with respect for one another. But if even one person starts rushing, taking more food for themselves and eating faster, it triggers a similar instinct in others. I need to eat faster, I need to get more. And the whole atmosphere at the table changes. This example clearly reflects the modern world. It is a result of capitalism, when big players, global giants, and multi-billion-dollar companies take everything for themselves, leaving only crumbs for the smaller ones. In such conditions, solidarity, respect for others, and calm cooperation gradually disappear. Now let's move on to the next topic, a supportive environment. Environment is a critically important factor for success. Not everyone has an ideal one. Even in poorer countries, you can find intelligent, thoughtful people, and these are the ones you should seek out and stay close to. If the people around you are idle, speak empty words, and take no real action, their low level of thinking will gradually influence you as well. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with people of high intelligence, intellectuals, scientists, successful and respected individuals, you begin to absorb their way of thinking, their inspiration, and their habits. Such an environment motivates and helps you grow. Here's an example from the life of a scientist. He said, "Anyone can achieve what I have achieved, but there is one key factor. Since childhood, my environment was always intellectual. Scientists visited my father. They discussed discoveries, global events, and important ideas. These conversations shaped my mind. If I hadn't been surrounded by such people, I might have become an ordinary person." The main conclusion is simple. Your environment sets the boundaries and directs your path. Communication with intelligent, mature, and thoughtful people shapes your habits, your mindset, and your approach to life. That is why, if you want to grow, it is important to seek the right environment, draw inspiration from it, and learn from those who have already achieved meaningful results. Friends, let's summarize the final factors you need to understand if you want to grow and become successful. The next important factor is strategy. When a person reaches the age of 15 to 18, and especially 20, they should start understanding what they want and where they are heading. At this stage, it is important to define a direction and build a strategy, realistic steps toward your goal. Along with strategy comes another equally important factor, financial literacy. I've noticed that many people own assets but do not use them productively. For example, someone may have land that simply sits unused. Sometimes it can be considered an investment, but if you currently don't have an active business or income source, that land should be turned into an asset, rent it out, or sell it and invest in projects that generate income. Another example is a large house where only a few people live, while other rooms remain empty. Such a resource can be optimized. Sell the excess space and invest the money into yourself, your business, education, content creation, or something that will bring income in the future. It's important to understand that investing does not mean risking everything at once. You should start with low-risk steps and gradually scale up when you have financial stability and experience. If something doesn't work out, you should still gain a lesson, a skill, and experience. That is also valuable. The main idea is this: everything you have that does not bring value should be turned into a resource. Any asset that is idle should start working for you. This is financial literacy, the ability to see opportunities, use them strategically, and maintain balance. And one more important piece of advice: patience and consistency. Don't change your goals too often. Move toward your strategy step by step, gradually and systematically. That is how sustainable results are achieved. With this, we conclude the main factors of success in this video. Write in the comments what is working for you, what isn't, and what questions you still have. In the next videos, we will discuss other useful topics that will help you grow and develop. Subscribe, like the video, and stay with us. Good luck to everyone!